What up, FringleBallers? This is Drew here. I'm going to be presenting a quick uh, and dirty video recap of the draft that happened. So let's do this. I'm going to start with my own team, Booth Trucker. I had my strengths as running back, flex, and depth. I got 2 top 5 running backs. I've got one of the best flex plays in Reggie Bush, and I've just got a lot of rookies that could explode on my bench. Now for my weaknesses, I had my wide receivers and my defense. Roddy White, Danny Amendola, both have question marks. Roddy White, who knows if he's going to be, if Julio Jones is going to take a lot of his touches from him. Danny Amendola's in a new system. Sure, he has Peyton Manning, but we don't know how their chemistry is going to be. So a lot of questions there. Defense, it's the Steelers D. I mean, they're usually pretty solid, but that doesn't always mean great fantasy stats. So that's mine. Now, second team we have is That's a Load of Crock, my brother Chris. Strengths, I had wide receiver, tight end, defense, and QBs. Yeah, he's got a top 5 QB with a QB on his bench that has potential to be top 5. Wide receivers, Dez Bryant, AJ Green, 2 probably top 3 wide receivers. Pretty amazing. Defense, he's got the 49ers, just one of the best defenses in the league. And tight end, Jason Witten, solid. Always solid. He's just a once-in-a-generation tight end. Now for his weaknesses, I have running backs, flex, running back depth, and his glut of cowboy homer picks. So both those running backs, Jamal Charles is changing scheme. We don't know yet how that's going to go for him. I'm sure he'll be fine, but we don't absolutely know. Maurice Jones-Drew coming back from an injury. He's got a rookie breathing down his neck, so we'll see. Then flex player DeMarco Murray, injury prone. I honestly don't think he's going to finish the year, so yeah, that's what we got there. Not much depth on the bench either. If any of those guys go down, he's got Bell that's out right now, might be coming back, but besides that, nothing. So you better hope those starters stay healthy. And just you've got what Jason Witten, DeMarco Murray, and Dez Bryant. I mean, if Cowboys go up against a tough team, you might have a tough week that week. Alright, moving on. Thought, Word, and Breeze, David Eric Kelly. I have his strengths as QB, running back, and tight end. Drew Brees probably will end up being the top QB in fantasy. Running backs, Adrian Peterson, Trent Richardson, I don't have to say anything else. And tight end, Jimmy Graham, again, enough said. Weaknesses, possible weaknesses, we'll say. Wide receiver, flex, and QB depth. So, wide receivers, he has Randall Cobb and Reggie Wayne. Don't really know with the Green Bay wide receivers who's going to end up being the number 1, because Randall Cobb's there, but Jordy Nelson's coming back. So, probably will be great, but we don't know what's going to happen there. Reggie Wayne, he's tough, because every year you say, okay, well, he's done, but then he puts up great numbers, so yeah, we'll see how Reggie Wayne does. So that's a possible problem. Flex player is an unproven running back. I think he's had, maybe 1 game with 100 yards. So, we'll see how that looks. And QB depth, he actually just has Andy Dalton. So let's just hope Drew Brees stays alive. Next team we have is the Nolan Effect. That's Nielsen's team. I had for his strengths, his running backs, his wide receivers, his flex, and his defense. So running backs, Marshawn Lynch and Alfred Morris, both top 10 guys. And for his flex, he has Darren Sproles, one of the best PPR running backs in the league. Wide receivers, he has Julio Jones and Demaryius Thomas, both guys with potential to be top 5 wide receivers. So, really great draft there. And his defense is the Broncos, who were one of the best defenses last year. So, great team there. For his potential weaknesses, we have QB, tight end, and punter. QB, we got Kaepernick. Came on really strong, obviously, at the end of the last season. No guarantee that he'll be able to continue. So that's something to watch. I mean, he does have luck on the bench to throw back in there, but again, another second-year guy. We need to see if he can repeat. Tight end, we have Vernon Davis. Yeah, he was, I think, helped out a lot last year when he had Michael Crabtree. He no longer has Michael Crabtree. They say they're going to flex him as a wide receiver a lot, but who knows? I'm not completely sold on Vernon Davis having an amazing year this year. Just a big reason because he's pretty much the only offensive threat besides Kaepernick's legs. So that is that. And punter, we have the first player who took a punter that's not actually on a team. One of three, so we'll keep going with that theme. Next, we have young Booth, young Louis Cologne. Strengths, I have quarterback, wide receiver, and tight end. So, Peyton Manning, he's a decent quarterback. He should do pretty well for you, yeah. No, he's amazing. Wide receiver and tight end. Wide receiver, we have Brandon Marshall and Victor Cruz. Brandon Marshall's the top 5 guy. Victor Cruz came on great last year. He is honestly still a slot receiver, so should be good, but I guess we'll see. He's a little bit banged up, so hopefully he'll be okay. And tight end, I think Kyle Rudolph's is in for a big year this year. Not a lot going on in Minnesota besides AP, so hopefully he can be a nice outlet and catch a lot of touchdowns probably. Now for his weaknesses, I have running back, flex, and his bench. Alright, so running back, we've got Stephen Ridley and Darren McFadden. I think Ridley's in for a big year, but oh man, you look at the running backs you have behind him. You got Darren McFadden, you've got Arian Foster, you've got Ryan Matthews, you've got D'Angelo Williams, you've got Mark Ingram. Lots of guys with injury history. A lot of guys I don't even have on my board because I don't trust them to stay healthy the entire year. Maybe with all of them together you can come up with a decent backup running back behind Ridley, but that's taking a serious risk there. We have our second owner so far to draft a punter that's not actually on a team, so congratulations, Louis. Next up, we have Patrick Cologne with Del Tuba Cologne. I have his strengths being his quarterback, his wide receiver, and his defense. So, quarterback, got both RG3 and Romo, both guys with potential to be top 5 picks. Romo is actually, despite the fact that he chokes all the time, he's a pretty great fantasy quarterback to have. Wide receiver, Calvin Johnson and Larry Fitzgerald. I mean, beautiful. Beautiful. Besides Chris's Des Bryant and AJ Green, I'm sure the top 2 wide receiver combo of any team, so, well done there. And then defense, Seahawks. Number 1 defense. They're incredible. Great job with that. So for your weaknesses, Pat, I've got you for running back depth, and your flex, who is also a running back. Steven Jackson, getting older. He is on the Falcons. I personally think he's probably gonna have a great year. I think he's gonna get 15 touchdowns or more because the Falcons like to run in the end zone, and he's a big bruising back. But you never know when he's going to break down. He's in a new scheme. We haven't found out whether that's going to work for him. Chris Johnson, I don't trust. David Wilson, number 1 running back for the Giants. That's great. Last year he had one 100-yard season, and that's it. So, and then your running back depth is, Vic Ballard. So, you better hope your running backs produce and stay healthy, otherwise you're kind of in trouble. Okay, moving on. We have Sally Exile Blood Og Ild, Scott Swires. I got for you your strengths being your quarterback, your running back, and your punter. Yay! Quarterback, Tom Brady will be great. You got Flacco as a decent backup for him too, which is good. running back. Ray Rice and Matt Forte, both running backs that catch a lot of passes, and in the PPR league, very, very valuable. Then for your flex, you got Frank Gore, who, I mean, he just keeps chugging along and putting up great fantasy stats year after year. He's been a top 10 guy forever. So if he can keep going, you know, you'll be really set for running back. I have for your weaknesses, possible weaknesses again. Every time I say weaknesses, I mean possible. Wide receiver, tight end, and running back depth. Wide receiver, we got Wes Welker, who's in a new scheme. Don't know if he's going to be any good. And then we have Marquise Colston, who, you know, he's always a little banged up, and Drew Brees likes to spread the ball around. He's usually great for end zone stuff, but, you know, he spreads the ball to so many receivers, you never know how Colston's going to do. I actually think Anquan Bolden on your bench is going to be a better start than Colston by the end of the year, because there's no one else in San Francisco besides Davis. And what else did I say? Tight end, you've got Antonio Gates. Had him last year. He took a big hit last year. You know, I don't know if this is the year that he really does fall off. So maybe I'm wrong. Hopefully I am, and he'll do well for you. But I don't trust him. And not much wide receiver. I mean, not much running back depth. You've got behind Ray Rice and Forte and Gore, you've got Isaac Redman, and that's it. So. Yeah, keep an eye out on that. Now, for the last one, we have, well, a name that I chose because he wasn't on there was Allegheny No Internet Man, which is Dave LaBosse. I'm sure that name will change later on. But his team was auto-drafted, and so let's see how they did. For strengths, I have quarterback, tight end, and defense. Quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. Good. Tight end, Rob Gronkowski. Once he gets back on the field, I mean, I think even though he's starting off injured, he'll probably end up being the number 2 tight end. So, again, very good. And then defense, you got the Bears defense. I mean, last year they were just like stupid good. It was scored like 10 touchdowns or something, which is redonkulous. So that's nice. Also on your bench, by the way, you have Russell Wilson as your backup quarterback. So not a bad backup. For your weaknesses, I actually only had punter, because you were the third person that drafted a punter that is not actually on a team. So you'll want to change that once you can access your team. And then what I had for you was you were the only one with a meh category, because those were your running backs and wide receivers. Doug Martin's a great number 1 running back. Vincent Jackson's a good number 1 wide receiver. But besides that, the rest of your guys, I mean, they're all good. Like, I don't see a lot of big red flags with a lot of them. I mean, guys like Chris Ivory, Cecil Shorts, Ahmad Bradshaw, Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, they're like, they might be great, they might not be, but I think a lot of them are going to be solid, but I don't know that any of them are going to be spectacular. So, you know, I think you've got a pretty solid team, especially considering it was auto-drafted. Besides your top running back and wide receiver, I'm not excited by any of your other skill players. So, oh, you do have Mike Wallace in the flex, who, again, might be a guy that does really, really well in Miami, but we don't know yet because he hasn't played for them. So, that is my draft recap. I'm going to try posting this to the YouTube and posting the link, and I guess we'll see how this works. So, great job, guys. Looking forward to this year. Peace out.